Okay, click in the live. And I think we are streaming. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this bonus round with Debra Valencia. Debra, thank you so much for making time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes. So I know that we have a couple of questions from some of our viewers. And is it okay if we just dive right in, Debra?
Sure, sure. I also have been watching all the presentations and it's been fantastic.
Awesome. 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 All right. So one question that came through was, what kind of art really lends itself to licensing? Is it more patterns or illustrations?
Well, actually, it's much broader than that. It's not limited to that. In fact, when I first started in 2007, probably the first 20 manufacturers I met with, and I was meeting in person. I was actually going to Surtex and to the Atlanta Gift Show and meeting with people. They said, we don't license patterns. But then by 2010, I kept pushing ahead. And by 2010, patterns became really popular on products. And all of a sudden, the manufacturers were looking for patterns. Actually, traditionally, and like for decades, photography has been licensable, fine art has been licensable, tons of illustration. I mean, I would say more illustration than anything else, but really all kinds of artwork, cartoons, cartoon characters, or like even emoji designs or like little character art. Patterns are definitely in there now. I mean, they've been, and even calligraphy, hand lettering, just anything that's unique. Watercolor art is really popular right now. And things do go in waves. I mean, like watercolor's been super, super hot for the last 5 or 6 years, although it has been licensed for decades. But right now, all the manufacturers want tons of watercolor. And they also want lots of hand lettering, like inspirational sayings, but in unique fonts that are done by hand, quirky fonts, elegant fonts, not computer generated, but things that are actually hand painted, hand drawn, and even doodling could be licensed. It's a matter of building a look and a brand and a portfolio around enough material that you have a body of work that then they can say, yes, we can build a product line around this work.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I know before we went live, I had a question about abstract art, because I think in my head, I just kept thinking of that as being great on clothing and scarves and bags. And then you were like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, actually, again, when I first started and I was taking classes like seminars on licensing um, before I got started, I was told abstract art cannot be licensed or it has very limited applications. Well, one of the hottest properties right now is Etta V, ETTA, and the second word is VEE. Look her up. Brushstrokes, colorful brushstrokes. She's one of the hottest licensed artists right now. And she only started about 5 years ago. And she's got deals with Pottery Barn and all kinds of, I mean, her work,
Target.
yeah, her work is on bedding, it's on travel mugs, it's on stationery. They're even using it as backgrounds for Christmas cards. When it's not in Christmas colors at all, it's completely in her vibrant, beautiful palettes. And the thing is that the manufacturers are looking for something fresh and new for products that are ongoing perennial products like Christmas cards, plates, mugs. They have to keep they have to keep coming up with something new. And the whole purpose of licensing the art is that they can choose from all the great art that's out there without having to pay to develop it. And then we, as the artist, if you get selected, you get paid on the back end. You get rewarded by how many units sell. So if you only sell 5,000 units, you'll make whatever that royalty is worth. If it sells 100,000 units, you get rewarded by the more that it sells, the more you earn.
Yeah, thank you. And I also just want to say to Gail and Jackie, who are here in the room with us, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And Debra, is there anything else that maybe you want to share with us about licensing?
Well, I had a few samples. I don't know how well they'll
Yes.
show up, but I had some in my presentation. But for example, here's a what's called a bundle of fabric. It's sold like this to the consumer. It's already a mixture that I curated that a customer can buy at a hobby shop and make a small, like a tote bag or an apron or some kind of a small sewing project. But because it's a license, you can see it has my logo on it. So one of the really nice perks of licensing is that you get to have your branding on everything. So here's a package of note cards that's sold at Sam's Club. And so you can see my logo is on here. And this is different art. This is my watercolor art. And then here's a set of Bath and Body products. This was just one of hundreds. We did this program for Walmart for 5 years. And every year there would be about 50 items, all different designs, all different packaging and configurations, price points going all the way from 3 items up to these giant baskets. So again, it has my logo on, not only on the tag, but actually on the bottles. And then just a couple more samples. There's a stationery. This is a little nice little cute journal, not a journal, sorry, it's a calendar with sticky notes.
Wow, it's nice.
And so it has my watercolor art on the outside. And again, it has my branding. This was sold at TJ Maxx. And then this is a line of cameo jewelry that's sold at, this has been everywhere from the Ritz Hotel to Fred Siegel, different boutique, more boutique realtors, retailers, excuse me. And it has my branding, co-branding with the manufacturer's branding.
Cool.
So those are just a few other examples of the breadth of product, and then the idea of building a brand across multiple categories. So I've had my art on, even here's my last sample, eyewear. This sold at Walmart also. So you can see it has my little logo and my art on the side.
Cool.
There's a dozen designs. So I've had fashion accessories. I've had fabric and craft goods. I've had stationery, all different items from back to school to note cards, thank you cards, greeting cards, bath and beauty products, home decor items, and just many other things. Because I do patterns, my art doesn't lend itself to framed wall art. But say somebody like yourself, Clarissa, abstract art would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
So when you think of like I have a print on my wall, I mean, that's a limited edition print, but you know, you've gone into Bed Bath and Beyond or Target, and they'll have a whole aisle of framed artwork. That's what we call wall decor. So imagine if your paintings were mass produced and sold at, you know, at one of the major chains or any of the major chains. And the quality of the reproductions are excellent. I mean, it really looks like it has brush strokes on canvas. I mean, it has dimension. It's not like I remember, it's not like the old fashioned, you know, like from the 60s or something where it looked like plastic or whatever.
Right.
The wall, you can barely tell the difference between an original and a reproduction now. And
that's so true.
So it could be canvas, it could be matted and framed in glass with a frame and so on, or even art that's reproduced on wood-like material and things like that. So there's a lot of categories. Abstract art could also be calendars. It could also be note cards. It might have more limited categories than say patterns, but that's, you know, that could be true of many niche. There's also niche themes. I mean, let's say somebody does like goth art or something, or
right.
or like dark humor or something like that. Their art might be limited to things like t-shirts and maybe accessories that would be good for like teens and tweens or something like that. Or, you know, there's going to be different categories that are appropriate for different art. But that doesn't mean, even if your art was only suitable for say 3 categories, that doesn't mean not to do it. It actually could be still quite lucrative and actually not as overwhelming, because one of the problems I have with, or not a problem, but with the way that I have to organize myself for since surface design can be put on so many different products, is that I sort of divide my year up and I think, okay, this month I'm only going to think about fabric. Next month I'm going to think about wallpaper. And then the following month I'm going to think about stationery. I can't
Yeah.
do it all at once. It's too much. So,
Mhm.
and if you're also doing, let's say the licensing is only a small portion of your entire pie of revenue. You know, you may have gallery shows and limited edition things and other things that you're doing. So if you only have 3 or 4 or 5 categories that you're going after, it also simplifies your life, really.
Yeah, that is true. And as you were talking, I was just thinking, so for those of us who are, wanting to explore this, I guess, how critical is it to have representation and work with an agent versus maybe just trying on your own first? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, there's only about 100 art licensing agents in the United States, and there's hundreds of thousands of us. And
Mhm.
so really it's very difficult to get an agent, to be honest with you. I was self-represented for the first 6 years. I got myself just on my own over 30 licensing deals.
Mm.
And most agents are not even going to want to consider you until you already have some licensing deals under your belt first, and you have a substantial enough body of work. So I recommend, as I teach in my class, I teach you everything you know to do it yourself. And all you have to do is just start sending your resume, sending your portfolio out, not the whole portfolio. I recommend that you send, say, 6 to 10 samples of your work with a cover letter in an email, of course. And you just start, and I have lists of manufacturers and all of that. These are all things that I teach you how to do in my 6-week class, because you're going to really need to get those initial licensing deals first anyway.
Mhm.
And agents take 50% of your royalties.
Mhm.
So um, there are many successful licensed artists out there who do not have an agent intentionally, they um, because they find that it's really not that hard to make the submissions. You know, it's just sending out an email. Once you have the email address, you can just send out new artwork every 3 months or every 6 months or whenever you have a new collection. And
Got it.
they either take it or they don't take it.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. And we have a question here in the group. It says, can you license the same art with different companies?
Absolutely. That's the whole point of licensing, is that, um, for example, the Kyoto patterns that I showed in my presentation, I licensed that same art to over 20 companies, sometimes simultaneously. The only thing that you cannot do is license it for the same category. So if I'm licensing it for fabric, I only license it to one fabric company. If I license it for back to school supplies, I only license it for back to school supplies to one company, because that's designated in the contract, which I
Mm.
also go over in the in my class. But each contract is separated by product category, because most companies, a company that makes bedding, they only make bedding. If a company
Mhm.
makes fabric, they only make fabric. If they make eyewear, they only make eyewear. There are very few companies that span multiple product categories. So they're licensing you for a specific piece of artwork in a specific product, for a specific product only. So you can license the same art across dozens of product categories simultaneously.
Thank you for that. And for those of you who are here in the Zoom room with us or on Facebook, I just have to say, if you have not downloaded Deb's strategic action plan, it is so good. It is so thorough. And I think it is definitely a great start. If licensing is new to you, it's definitely new to me. It's something that I have always thought about doing. And Debra, sorry, I called you Deb. Um, it is such a great resource.
Thank you.
Such a great resource. Yes.
Even if, and so what I want to tell everybody out there, all the artists and art creators, is that, I mean, it's even if you're not actively pursuing licensing, I developed this course because so many people were asking me about it when they found out I was doing it. Having been a creative director here in LA at many different companies, I knew hundreds of particularly graphic designers. And once they heard I was getting royalties on my art, they were like, how do I do that? You know? So I first developed it as a 3-hour workshop, and then that wasn't even enough to explain everything in detail. So then I developed it as a 12-hour course, so I can really go through the contracts line by line. I can show how to copyright your artwork step by step, like actually live on the copyright.gov website. What do my submissions look like? What do I say in my email? What do I attach to it? You know, if I'm sending to a greeting card company or a fabric company or a different kind of company, I show everything exactly how I do it. And and then even if you're not actively pursuing licensing, you may get approached by someone to use your artwork on something. This has also happened to people who have come for coaching help, because they might be a fine artist and suddenly they get an opportunity where a television show wants to use their art in the background, or someone has approached them about using their art in a book or a calendar or something. Well, what do I do? What do I charge? How do I do that? What should the contract look like? Is this a good contract that they gave me? So I can help on that, because there are going to be times when you want to just sell the work outright. And you might want to sell your original, but retain the reproduction rights so that you can still license the art, even though you've sold the original to someone, a patron. Then there's going to be times when you want to do what's called a flat fee license, where you, instead of royalties, you might just get a flat fee for them to use it for an X amount of time. So I've done that with some women's apparel, because they want to use the selling season's very short for fashion. And so I don't want to do a royalty deal, because what if they only sell 100 pieces? It's nothing for me. But so what they do is they give me a flat fee. They might take 12 or 20 or 30 of my patterns, and they're going to use it just for 1 year. But I still own the copyright. And that way it doesn't matter to me whether they sell one piece or they sell 100 or they sell 500. I got my fee up front, but I also retain my ownership of the copyright. Then there's ones when you have something going into Walmart, like this bath and beauty products, or, I could earn as much as $40,000 just on one order, because they're selling, it's a multi-million-dollar order when Walmart makes an order. I've had that on fabrics. I've had that on bath and beauty products and certain other categories. So then I want the royalty. But if I'm selling to, also if somebody approaches me who's never licensed art before, I only work with established companies. I vet them. They must already be licensing other artists and possibly other properties, like if they're licensing Disney or NFL or any of the other big brands, then they know they're set up to pay royalties. They understand the licensing business model. They have a proven track record. And so I don't want to license with somebody who's never licensed an art before, because what if they sell zero? And then, or what if they sell products, but they don't report it to me properly? Right. So in that case, I'll take a flat fee license, because I'll say, okay, you can use this artwork for 2 years for X amount of money, but I retain the copyright. And that way, especially like when they're launching a new product, I don't know if that product's going to get off the ground. So that would be too much of a risk for me.
Right. All these considerations. Yes. Yes. Gosh, there is so much to licensing, and I love that you are the expert for it. And Debra, I'm going to go back and check in Facebook if there's any questions there, but I do have one more question. So I know you have a class, an online class, and I can't remember if I asked you this already, but is it evergreen, or is it only certain times of the year?
Well, it's all in my handout. If everybody wants to request that, I have it listed in there. Right now, I'm teaching at Otis College of Art online, and it's every spring, summer, and fall semester. So we're just in the
Perfect.
wrapping up spring now, and summer will start probably sometime in June. But um, I'm also developing more extensive courses on Skillshare, and those will be up later this year.
Oh, I'm so
then
excited for
then
that.
those will be evergreen. But the good thing about the Otis, I do recommend the Otis class because it's live.
Mm,
It's on Zoom, and I give a presentation each week, all kinds of handouts, but we have time for questions and discussion and real life examples. Like if you wanted to share a piece of your artwork, then I could on the real time give feedback on what product categories I think it would be good for. Where the Skillshare, of course, I'll go in as much detail as I can, but they're recorded classes, so you don't get
right.
that live interaction.
Yes, yes. Awesome. And I'm just going to ask one more time for those who are in the Zoom room. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And I'm just going to check one more place for any other questions, because I know we've kind of gone a little bit over. I'm just going to pause. But thank you, Deborah, for your time doing this extra bonus session with us.
Oh, my pleasure. I just had a couple more things to add, and
Please.
just remember, if you do want to go into licensing for the mass market, we're talking, which is what I am doing. And there's really good money to be made, but you have to remember that the art has to be something that's going to appeal to the mass consumers. And so if you have art that's very more appealing to a niche audience, then it might be more appropriate for print on demand, which of course we'll hear Elke Clark's wonderful presentation tomorrow. But
Mhm.
so if you had something that say you did everything that's just only on golf or something, or just some art that's just about people that play bagpipes or just something really obscure, then it's going to be more suited to print on demand. But if it's something that you feel like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people could be attracted to that imagery, then it could be suited for mass production. And it doesn't mean it has to be, every single person in the United States. There's different tastes. There's going to be people that like traditional, contemporary, whimsical, serious, things like that. But there has to be enough people that would like that product that you could imagine it in a store, like a Walmart, a Target, a Bed Bath and Beyond, a TJ Maxx, or just any of the chain stores.
Mm. Thank you for that. Thanks for making that distinction with licensing and having it on a POD like Zazzle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else going once, going twice? I'm going to check back in the Facebook group real quick. I have to toggle back and forth here. I don't see anything there yet, but Deborah, if any questions pop up, because I know a lot of people are still maybe working right now, they'll catch it tonight. If any questions pop up over there, is it okay if I shoot you a message and
Absolutely.
then you can shoot me a short response and I'll put it in the group?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we have a note here from Jackie saying, thank you. This was very helpful. And again, appreciate your time. And thank you everybody who is joining us here in the Zoom room and on Facebook. And I'll be back at 2:30 with Dr. Angelina Davis.
Thank you, and congratulations on the summit. It's going great so far.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you in about an hour.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.